the media is saying now that there's little confidence of Man United can convince Daniel Levy to sell Harry Kane for anything less than £125 million. What is your instant reaction to that as a Man United fan? We need a number 9. We need a goal scorer. But is £125 million too much for 30-year-old Harry Kane?
Listen, there. I was thinking about it today. I wish Spurs were as like. I wish they were that good at winning titles as they're good as overpricing Kane and their players, because they do a great job at that. Poor guy. I feel like he's at this point he's being held hostage over there. 125 million for a 30-year-old player. Listen, I want Kane. I want to spend big on Kane, but 125 million. That's insane. Like that, I just look at it, and that's just like a way of leaving. I don't think he's actually trying to get 125. He's just trying to price him out, and it's just like it's another Levy masterclass. He's done it last year. He's done it the year before. He always does that with Kane, and I'm just like, at what point does Kane just leave on a reasonable price? Because he has one more year left on his contract after this. He's 30 years old. You're out of all European competitions, and you're still putting 125 million price tag on his head. That's just insane to me. I'm not surprised that Levy did that, but that's just insane to me.
Let me ask you something, Stuffy. Simple. Benzema 5 years ago, if you knew that Benzema would have this career in 5 years, would you have paid 125 million for him, knowing that he's going to get you over the line?
125 5 years ago is different
because
than 125
Benzema,
right now.
Benzema, I think, is 5 years older than Harry Kane. Look at what he achieved in the last 5 years, the Champions Leagues and the leagues and the amount of goals and the Ballon d'Ors, and he got them over the line. And I think you would say that Harry, at that time, Benzema, if you see the career, is worth 125 million. See, this is Harry Kane. It might be the guy that is left to get you over the line and get you maybe go further in the Champions League, get you that 25 goals in the league that would make you win the league or challenge the league or get the 90 points. This is what is stopping teams from winning trophies. Something like this. Harry Kane, for me, is worth $125 million. In this day and age, he's definitely worth it.
Now, I'll tell you what the issue is, and I think Terry might agree with me on this. 125 eats massively out of your budget. Okay? So when you put 125 in Kane.
So now you're talking budget, not talking worth it. Now, see, you changed the way you talk now. You said budget instead of worth it. The question was, is he worth 125 million? If you have in your budget 125 million for a striker like Harry Kane, would you pay it now? Instead of talking about budget, talk about is he worth it?
Okay, well, I'm talking about both. Because you can overpay for a player, but he could be the last piece in your team. So let's say this team is complete. This is the last signing of the season. We have to overpay to get a striker. Let's say we already got a center back, a goalkeeper, a right back, a midfielder, whatever the hell we need. And Kane is the last thing. And you're like, you know what? It's 125 or nothing. To me, in that situation, I'll give it a conversation. But when it's the first signing of the season that we're talking about, and we know how much of a rebuild, not a rebuild, I don't want to use that word because we're not rebuilding, but we need to add correct pieces this summer to keep going on the trajectory that we're on right now. And I don't know what our budget is going to be. I don't even know if we're going to be sold yet or not. 125 million for a guy who is 30 years old and he has one more year left on his contract. As much as I want him, I don't want to spend that much because I know it's going to harm us in other positions. And I would rather go for someone who's a little bit cheaper, but that means we're going to get a better goalkeeper, a better center back, a right back, a midfielder. I see more priorities than to prioritize 125 on someone who we can get cheaper. I believe he could go cheaper with the circumstances.
Staffy, quick one then, yeah? If United were to go and win the league after getting Harry Kane, is he worth it then? What makes Kane not worth it? Because ultimately, if you're getting him in to achieve the goal of winning titles and winning leagues, if he does that, then you can spend 180 million on him. Like, if he does that for you, then you're reaping the rewards for paying that money. It's only not worth it if he doesn't deliver. So if there's a bit of you within yourself that's like, you know what, I don't think Kane's that guy that's gonna kind of move the needle for United, then that's understandable. But if you think he's that guy and you want him, then ultimately, if, like as Mo said, if the budget's already there, like you've got 150 million allocated, 125 million allocated for a striker, then why not go for him? That's not a misuse of the budget if you've allocated that money for him.
But here's my point. 2 years ago, if I'm correct, it was 3 years ago, he was priced at 150 by Levy. Okay, let's say it was 2 years ago because I think that was around the time that City wanted him. So he was 150. Okay. Now 2 years later, he's 2 years older. His contract is 2 years closer to ending, and he only goes down by 25 million.
And he's gotten
the
better.
Circumstances of the club. Listen. This is not me taking a dig at him as a player. I want him because I rate him highly as a player. But I'm just saying, 2 years later, to get him for 125, because we always overpay. I'm just so tired of my club overpaying. We overpay over every player that we try to get. 2 years later, he's only down 25 million from his original price 2 years ago, and his team is in a worse situation where they're not even in Europe. So like they don't really have that upper hand in terms of like, keeping him and whatnot because he wants to leave. And we're still getting outpriced. I just don't think that's reasonable. I think this deal should be negotiated way less than it is.
I understand where you're coming from. I'm honestly, I have a bad gut feeling. I said on a video this morning, it feels too much. But then I've sort of spent the rest of the day. I mean, not every minute of the day, to be fair. But why do I think that? And I honestly believe it's once bitten, twice shy for Man United fans. We have gone big on so many strikers and so many players post Fergie, whether it be Lukaku, Pogba as examples, Jadon Sancho, Maguire, and they've never had the impacts that Haalands and Van Dijks, etc., have had for their respective clubs. And I think if we go 125 on Kane and he flops, I think what a lot of Man United fans may not be deeping is the banter that comes with it and the criticism you get for spending that much and it not working because it's happened before. So a lot of our players that have delivered have been slightly cheaper players, if that makes sense, retrospectively compared to the others, But I'm in two minds. The question is, who else can you buy at a much cheaper price? Because if it's only 20, 30 million pounds, like if there's talk that Benfica are going to want 100 million pounds for Ramos. Now, if it's 100 million pounds for Ramos, I'm spending 125 million on Kane.
No, I agree.
The only player out there is Usherman, and they're quoting 130, 140 for him. So he is marginally more expensive, but then he's younger. But the question is he as good a football player as Harry Kane? The answer is no. He can't do what Harry Kane does. What he does have over Kane is youth in comparison, lots more athleticism and a lot more speed. So it's a different way of playing. But he's not as good a footballer. He can't sit back and play make or anything along those lines. I'm going to go to Brandon in a second. There's a super chat here that says, we don't need Harry Kane that badly. We can get someone younger for a more reasonable price and can go around and can be around for about 10 years. And Benzema wants to win more. Yeah, we can, but other than Victor Osimhen, I can't think of another striker who's going to come in and we need someone to come in and score us in all comps 30 plus goals next year. That's what Man United need. Who else is there in the world, barring Kane and Osimhen, that is as close to a guarantee as you can get? Does anyone know who that is?
He's not 30.
You can
how about Vlahovic?
You can gamble on youngsters, but
there's
not.
Again,
sorry, Brandon.
All these players that you're naming here, Vlahovic, Osimhen, Ramos, these are all players that play in different leagues. You've never seen them play in the Premier League before. Harry Kane guarantees Tottenham 30 goals a season, regardless of where Tottenham are as a team. So he 100% guarantees Manchester United 30 goals a season. And not only that, he's an excellent footballer as well. So I think the chances of him flopping at Man United is very, very, very minute and slim because he's not just a goal scorer. He doesn't just offer you goals. He offers you everything else around the box as well. He's good at creating chances. He's a bit more of like a playmaker type striker as well. I think 125 million, I understand what you're saying, like with his age and his contract and that. But if you look at it in this day and age, you just mentioned there, Osimhen, 100 million, Ramos, 100 million. And these players, they're good players in other leagues, but they've not proven themselves in the Premier League like he has. I honestly think if you go and get Harry Kane, he could be like your Robin Van Persie,
Yeah, but the difference is between those two players that literally United lost the league by goal difference. This year, they're about 15, 20 points behind anyway. For me, it's the Harry Kane issue is opportunity cost rather than value for money. It's what are you willing to give up in order to get Harry Kane? Because we don't know what their budget is. They may not have budgeted 125 million for a striker. If they have, by all means, go get Harry Kane. But if they haven't, and we've got 300 million, let's improve the squad wherever we can. If they need a right back, a centre back, a goalkeeper. And I don't know what Man United need exactly. I'm sure Man United fans will know exactly what they need. But like, if they've got to get 5-6 players, dropping 125 into one player, and I've seen it done at my own club, where you go, oh, we've got one hole to fix. Let's drop 100 on one player. That doesn't work quite. It doesn't. It just doesn't work.
Brendan, I just want to say that Carl B here says, like, why do fans care about money? But this is why. I understand the notion of it's not my money, why should I care? But it's terrible logic. And any pundit, any YouTuber that says it, send them my way and watch me embarrass them live on a camera. If you just hemorrhage money consistently, you fail. Unless you've got a bottomless pit of money, and it doesn't matter. There's only one team in England with the way they've been run in the last decade, where if they make a mistake in the transfer market, they instantly fix it, and they're instantly able to fix it, and that's Man City. Every other club, when they make a transfer that's a bit of a flop, we suffer for a year or two. Either you have to wait to build up more money to buy somebody else, or vice versa. I never like to plagiarize. Liez said this when we first brought Ten Hag in. Don't cheat the process, and that's what you could potentially. And this is the only downside to going to 120 is if you go right. We need a new goalie, new midfielder, new centre back, and a striker. But we end up missing out on one or two of those positions because we overspend on Kane. Yes, you're going to get more goals, but you're not going to fix holes in your team. Now, if we get a new owner and all the debt's wiped off and money doesn't become an issue, then it's not a problem. But if there's a limited budget, that's where we do have to be careful, in my opinion. But it's a real tough one. Sorry, Brandon, you wanted to say something?
But at the same time, right, I'm just looking now. Man United finished almost 14 points off the top of the table this season, right? You drew 6 games. Harry Kane could be the difference between you drawing a game and winning a game. Do you see what I mean? He could easily make up that 14 points that you're currently missing to be there or thereabouts competing at the top of the table. That's how good he is. So I wouldn't play it down too much. You know, I know it's a lot of money to spend on a striker that's of that age and with that length of contract on it, but he could move the needle that much for Manchester United. I think it's a no-brainer personally.
There we go. I mean, look, everyone, listen, I'm honestly like so in the middle as a Man United fan. I see it from both sides. Goals are massively needed. And I do want Harry Kane. One, for my club, we need the goals. And I think we can challenge next year with a player like him and others. But on top of that, I do worry about the Glazonomic side of things, and then missing out on other areas. So I do get it from both sides. I really do. Staying with Man United, there was another story that's come out today, and I think this was an interesting one that supposedly, and it isn't just Man United, there's also a bit of Arsenal thrown into this as well. The talk around Mason Mount joining or favouring United and wanting to move away. Some are stating that it is a ploy from his agent to try and get Chelsea to continue to increase their offer. I'm going to go to David first on this. Do you think this is Mount trying to get a better deal at Chelsea, or are you of the belief that he is going to leave this summer from Chelsea and join a Premier League rival, whether it's Man United or whether it's Liverpool, maybe Arsenal? Where's your head at with this deal?
I could see it both ways. I know it's a really bad answer to the question, but I could see it going both ways. Like, I wouldn't, again, people know me. I personally wouldn't mind him going too much. I don't particularly rate him as highly as other people do. He's all right. He's not worth the money that's been touted for him. I wouldn't pay him. I wouldn't even go close to him for 300k a week. Not even close. Even if he bounces back next season, he's still not worth 300k a week. Would he go? If he's going to go somewhere, I reckon he'd probably go Man United more than Arsenal. Just because if people truly believe he's like a proper Chelsea fan and blah blah blah, Arsenal is kind of a bit of like more of a rival, I'd say, than Man United. Like, going to another London club's probably not the best thing in the world for his image at Chelsea. But I mean, if he goes, please, 80 mil, I'd love it, because I need to improve my squad in other areas. It'd be great. It'd be great. I'd love to improve my squad.
Dave, did you just say 80 million?
80 mil, yeah.
Oh my God. Okay.
Harry Kane has got 1 year left of his contract, and he's going for.
But Harry Kane is a legend in the Premier League.
Hold on, Mo. There's English tax.
Yeah, it's laughable, Mo. It's laughable. It's actually laughable.
No. Do you think I'm joking, Mo?
The sad part is that you're not joking, bro.
I'm not joking. The way the market's going. Okay, let me put it to you like this: if Mason Mount played for another club, Would Chelsea drop 80 million pounds? Would Todd Bowley have dropped 80 mil on someone?
Well,
on
Chelsea are
Mason Mount?
idiots.
He
Yes,
wouldn't have.
Chelsea are
He wouldn't.
idiots. Not
You're acting
everybody
like
is
Mo,
that
Mo,
idiot.
you're
I'm
acting like there
sorry.
aren't other owners that wouldn't be willing to do this.
Some of them, but
I don't
not
know. I
the.
don't know what's going on at Bayern Munich right now. But if Thomas Tuchel stays and he's like, you know what, I really want to bring Mason Mount, those new guys over there, they might say, you know what, let's bring him over. Musiala worked out from England. Let's bring over Mason Mount. 70 mil, bosh, take it.
Think about that, David. Is I think if there is a manager that will work with Mason Mount, it's Mauricio Pochettino. This
Of
is
course,
it.
yeah, no, I
He
see.
had
I see
one
where
good season. He had one good season at Chelsea, one excellent season. We had double digits goals and assists. He was the catalyst of everything.
Whoa,
And I think that was the Champions.
whoa. Let's back it up a second. The catalyst.
Okay, he wasn't your best player that season. Didn't he win the best player?
No, he wasn't. He wasn't.
Didn't he win player of the season? Didn't he win fan player of the season?
That is Fugazi.
You didn't vote for him, but other fans did.
That's Fugazi to me. The way the fans
So
love
not
that
you.
man.
See,
No, Mo,
you
you ain't know. I've been on this case since day one. You don't know me. Like I've been saying.
But that's why you asking for 80 million. The way you spoke about Mason Mount on this show, this channel for 3 years, you should be asking for about 8 pence.
No. But you see, I was told I was wrong, so I'm going off the base of everybody.
So
else.
now you're going based on the fans.
So when the fans voted for him to be player of the year, he has nothing to do with it. But when the fans are saying he's worth 80 million, he's agreeing. So he picks and chooses what to agree with.
I want to ask a question here.
Yes,
If Wesley Fofana,
Yes, so
Koulibaly, if Raheem Sterling, if Enzo Fernandez, if these guys make 250 plus a year, why Mason Mount, who is an offensive player that has a resale value in the future? He's one that has resale value. He's young. If he improves, you're definitely going to sell him for much more money. Should not make 250 plus a year. I don't get it from Chelsea Football Club. How are you paying other players without resale value that much money, and you refuse to pay Mason Mount that much money? If he's going to work under a coach like Mauricio Pochettino, and you want to sell him to a rival club that probably are not willing to pay that much money, 50 million, including bonuses for him, I think that's not a lot of money for Mason Mount, based on the prospect he is, based on the future he might have. I see it as a loose situation for Chelsea, to be honest.
Yeah, I think I don't know. Go on, Bran.
From an Arsenal perspective, I hope it all goes left and Chelsea offer him an 8-year contract, like they have done with the rest of their players.
I did say
not for you at Arsenal, then, Bran. Not for you.
I did say
definitely not for me. We need players of the top tier. Mason Mount is not top tier.
I said in the chat
for having
that Mason Mount makes more sense in the 8 role than Declan Rice does for Arsenal. And I'll die on that hill. It makes way more sense. This whole Rice is going to play 8. I'm not sure if we're going to get into it, but to me, that makes no sense. If you're going to do 8 role, Mason Mount should go there above Declan Rice.
Yeah, I mean.